Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Casio ProTrek Smart, reference WSD-F20. There's probably a few more numbers and letters after that, depending on the specific version. This is the all black one, there's one with orange. This is Casio's second full-fledged smartwatch. This follows up the WSD-F10 that I also reviewed. The WSD-F20 basically improves upon it. It's not a revolutionary change, it's evolutionary, but I want to talk about what some of those things are because they are significant. If you have the WSD-F10, there's a good chance you might want to upgrade, but this doesn't sort of outright replace it, even though I'm pretty sure the WSD-F10 has stopped being made. One of the most important things about the WSD-F20 is it officially is now incorporated into the ProTrek line. So the ProTrek line is Casio's, I'll call it outdoorsy, hiking, adventure watch collection, whereas the G-Shock was more about durability and street and everyday and high tech. Those worlds have kind of merged in a lot of ways over the last 2 years, and the ProTrek collection has kind of not really had its place. There's been some great models. You know, it's not that ProTrek isn't as attractive. I just don't think that the separation for the consumer was necessarily as clear. But something like this really sort of helps out because this is a outdoors themed, fully fledged smartwatch, and there's nothing like that in the G-Shock collection. G-Shock is taking a very different approach of how it wants to have phone connectivity. Entirely different story, but that's what I'll say about that right now. Big watch. I think it's about 57 millimeters wide, almost, I think, more than 60 millimeters tall, which is this length here. Not too thick, but again, this is a smartwatch and it has a lot of hardware, screen, and things to incorporate. It actually wears extremely comfortably. Casio knows how to make a big watch feel comfortable. One of the really great things they've done, and this is not unique to this particular piece here, is there's this, I don't even know what they call it, it's kind of this diagonal part right here. So the way the strap connects, to make a long story short, it really allows it to wrap around your wrist, even though it's quite a large watch. So, like I said, the WSD F20 is now a ProTrek model. It's cool to see ProTrek Smart. I've actually been waiting for something like that for at least a decade now, actually. The overall case shape is similar. There's a new bezel design, which is a little bit more attractive. Same exposed charging port right there. I don't know how I feel about this. It's probably my least favorite element of the watch, where there's this big exposed charging port there. The watch is still water resistant, so it's not like really an issue when it comes to durability or anything like that. I just think that there's probably a more attractive way of handling that. Plus, it's a magnetic connector. I'll show it in the pictures. It's nothing fancy. It's just a little plug that goes right here. It holds on magnetically, and that's fine. You can sit on a desk and put the little thing on here. But this is a outdoors watch. This is a sports watch. It's something that is meant to take with you, and again, if you're using it, you have 1 to 2 days of battery life. Now, there's ways of extending that, but if you want the full features of Android Wear 2.0, which is the operating system inside of it, it's been enhanced by Casio. But if you really want the full-fledged operating system, which you probably do to get your notifications and whatnot, you're not going to have that much battery life. So charging this on a regular basis, especially if you're on the go, is useful. So how then, in a backpack, in a car, wherever it is that you're not in a just totally stable environment, can you keep a plug connected into the side of the watch, connected to some charger, and actually hope it to charge? I would argue that's really hard to do. So one of the things I'm asking is for Casio in the future, would you please go ahead and make sure there's a charging system where this can charge in a more stable way on a dock? Maybe there's a clip that goes over it. Others have done this. I want to make sure that when you're on the go, you can charge the watch. Worst thing that can happen is you think you're charging it, you get to a location where you need to get away from power, your car, even your phone. This watch has a lot of ability to be used outside of where any mobile phone networks can connect, and then your watch is essentially dead. I actually thought I was charging this, or maybe it died, I don't remember, and I picked it up, and it had the time on there. But nothing, you know, the buttons wouldn't work or anything like that. I'm like, what's going on? I realized that actually the watch had died, and it went into what's called Timepiece Mode, where it just showed the time, and it was kind of on a low power setting. I thought it was interesting because the watch had not been charged for, I don't know, it could have been a week, 2 weeks, maybe longer. So this thing has a significant timepiece only mode. So it's kind of a nice emergency thing, but you of course just have the time. What you're looking at here is the always on state, which is great. The watch doesn't terribly pull on battery life in an always on state. This is becoming a little bit of sort of the norm for my favorite smartwatches to have an always on state, which basically means that when the screen isn't activated, there's a low power setting which still displays. And you can see here, even though it is in a low power mode, what do you have? You have colors, you have the ability to have animation, even though I don't think it has it on here. You have the hands. And I think it's really funny, like most of the dials I've seen, for whatever reason, Casio still has to say water resistant 50 meters. They're very proud of the fact that the WSD-F20 is water resistant to 50 meters, which means that it can go for swimming and things like that. You know, of course, many smartwatches are not this durable, so that's a big deal. But I just think it's funny that even in the low power mode, they have to remind you that it is water resistant. Another new feature, and again, the WSD-F10 was maybe 30 meters, so not really something you could go swimming in. This is something you could definitely go swimming and diving. Don't go diving in it, but swimming, absolutely no problem. GPS as well. So this watch now has GPS. The WSD-F10 didn't have Android Wear 2.0. This does. Wasn't part of the project collection. That's not really a functional thing. This is. Didn't have as nice as looking of a bezel. Doesn't turn. Didn't have GPS. Didn't have as much durability with the 50 meters of water resistance. So those are the big upgrades that this watch has. Of course, the new software is a big part of it with Android Wear 2.0. But that's really the big things. And just for GPS and additional functionality, as well as Android Wear 2.0, easy reason to upgrade. Okay, so let's look at some things that have been upgraded a little bit, but very similar. It's called Tool Mode. These are Casio apps, so this is not something which is inside of Android Wear 2.0. This is the compass. Very fluid, nice animation, works very well. Then you have here, which is Altimeter. And each of these has the ability to be, I think, calibrated or things like that. I don't remember all the ways of doing it. I guess I'm moving to the next one here. I guess you can push this or you can swipe the screen there. That is Barometric Pressure. I don't know how to read all this stuff. I haven't taken a close look at it. Obviously, Barometric Pressure. There's this little arrow here which relates to the weather prediction functionality, which is cool. Let's see what the other one is here. This is a cool one. I'm still trying to figure out what this one is, just because I've been sort of scanning it. And this is a new one. The WSD-F10 didn't have this. You obviously have a compass on there. You have the time. You have the sunrise, sunset. And then you have here, I think, in relation to the time when the sun rises and when the sun's going to set on... Actually, I'm not sure exactly how those work. But anyways, this is sort of a multifunctional one that is actually kind of useful to have those pieces of information right at your fingertips. Then you have, this is a, I don't know why it said San Francisco there. Again, I haven't fully calibrated all this stuff. This is obviously tracking your climb, which is pretty interesting. And then you go back here. So these are the Casio installed apps that relate to the core functionality of what most ProTrek watches are, which is altimeter, compass, barometer. These features are built into this watch, and of course, in certain instances, I think the compass, for example, can communicate with your phone for various. I mean, your phone has one as well, but there's different ways of making it more precise or something with redundancy, because sometimes the compass can be off a little bit. So it does some cool things like that. The map function is really cool. Again, this is an Android thing, but the map function, yeah, there we go. I just think this is so cool. The fact that you can have a map on there, especially in combination with GPS, is really, really neat. And I even love that on a little screen you can pinch and stuff like that. The reason I want to focus on the map thing, these are some special tools. I don't know if this is actually from Casio or related to just Android Wear, but you can make various types of notes So what you can do, for example, there's actually a microphone right here in the watch. You can speak into it and make a note about a specific location or something like that. So here you can see you can make a mark, you make a little voice memo to tell you something important about that location. The point I'm trying to get to, in addition to showing that the Android Wear has cool map features, is that because this has built-in GPS, you can also download some maps. So what is the implications? The implications is that when you are in a situation where you don't necessarily have the ability to go ahead and connect to a network for data, you can have the maps in here. So the combination of the GPS sensor as well as downloading the maps means you have a fully fledged map tool with you when you're trekking, and you don't have to worry about not having data or anything like that. That's pretty cool. The different dials are interesting. This one's pretty cool. It's obviously related to GPS. I love how it has your current longitude and latitude at all times. Like, I don't really need to know this information, but I've actually wondered for a long time why GPS watches don't have it. Boom! Latitude and longitude information. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Let's go to some other dials. Actually, this one is cooler than I thought. This is pretty fun, and this is kind of... Okay, yes, I understand. Okay, wow. All right, we are getting out of that right now. Sorry. That's the weird thing about reviewing smartwatches, is like your personal information might just show up there unannounced. So this is cool. Again, this is the always on state. You have a compass right here. So what you do is you actually just press this selector here, and you just scroll through these different modes. I love that you actually have a map in there. And so this is very similar to some of the Casio watches that people know that are more traditional ones. And you can touch the watch. So here we go. I can just scroll through here and choose a time for the second time zone. So I just thought that was really, really fun. Translate's cool. I don't know why you want to do that on your watch dial, but if you want to just translate, then you can click on that, and you can speak into the watch, and of course it uses Google Translate, which is super handy. So that's actually not a bad dial. If you hold it down, you can see here, you can change the color. There's like 2 options. I wish there was more. But you can also do all kinds of stuff here, calibrating compass, doing all these things. And I'm not sure the implication of all these things, but I really do like the more amounts of customization or settings you can do. I do want even more of these dials because I like them quite a bit, actually. I think these are cool. This is one that was on the old model. This is one that was on the old model as well. But again, the cleverness of how Casio took a design that you sort of know from their family of watches and put it in here is cool. So for example, these 3 areas up here, I like that. That's the always on state. I actually like that a little bit more than the white. But these places here, you can see this is a compass, but it's made to look like one of those old counters. But if you touch it, it turns into something else. So here it is some type of a calorie counter. There you have the compass again. So steps, calorie counter, or compass. Here you have barometric pressure. You have the WT for wattage, the battery life, and this one has a few modes as well. So that's really, really cool. Actually, I think this is the dial. Oh, it says up there 5 bar. I was wondering, is this the dial that doesn't have the 5 bar? It has it in there. And I just think that's a really nice, nifty feature to have. Here you have, of course, just your standard apps and things like that through Android Wear. Some of them are unique. For example, the Tool app, which is unique to Casio. Moment Setter is an interesting app. I'm not going to get into it right now. It's a complicated thing. The idea of Moment Setter is basically if you have a group of people all trekking together, you can use it for people to communicate. It also helps you track your journey, set waypoints, various different types of things like that. I haven't actually used it myself. I wrote about it. If you get one of these watches, I recommend exploring Moment Setter. It's supposed to have some cool stuff, and it is unique, of course, to Casio. I haven't even put this watch on yet. There's a lot of talking going on when it comes to smartwatches. I really like the new strap design. There's this kind of interesting texture of triangles there. It's very Zelda. So this is a large watch, like I said, but it wears really comfortably, and I mean really comfortably. It wraps itself around your wrist in a way that very few watches do. I could wear this watch for many hours and not have a problem with it. It weighs under 100 grams. I think it weighs like 92 grams. That's exactly what it weighs. So you can see there that this is a little bit more attractive, like I said, on the wrist than WSD-F20, especially because of this bezel design. You can change to all kinds of dials and things like that. This is kind of cool when they call it a duplex one, because there's actually 2 LCD screens in this. I think they use one for the always-on display. And you can get more dials. You can have any dial you want, actually. This is just the ones I put on here, but you can click more. You can put this, and you can have more at your disposal. And what I like that they did, what Android Wear did, is you have a lot more dials installed on here, but if you want to just go through a few that you like, they make it so that you can just have a few rather than have to scroll all the time through a bunch that you don't like. I'm not going to do a full review, of course, on Android Wear because that's above and beyond the scope of this. But it is there was a long wait for it. It's a better operating system than Android 1.0. And this is the first Casio watch to have it. So I hope that informed you a lot about the ProCheck Smart WSD-F20. Price for this watch is $500. It's got a lot of cool tech in there. It's probably one of the most durable, full-fledged smartwatches on the market right now. I never really thought up until last year that Casio was going to get serious about the smartwatch market, but it makes a lot of sense that they are. And they have one of the nicer products on the market. Again, at $500, it is going to be a little bit on the pricier side. Cheaper than some Apple watches, more expensive than others. Of course, that's not precisely a competitor because it has a different operating system. It's a little bit more expensive within the range of most Android Wear or better Android Wear smartwatches. So I think that even at the $500 price, this is a competitive product. Fit and finish is great, and you got all the stuff that only Casio is good at that other smartwatch makers aren't. If you want a smartwatch and you do outdoor stuff and you want to stay in sort of the Android operating system universe, this is a great choice. You can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch. Thanks.